this pod is probably one of the first times I've publicly told, my kind of story where I like about bouncing back. Really, I never really talk about it because like I said, I'm not necessarily a very public person, but I would challenge people to just to keep fighting, stay resilient. Resiliency is huge. You know what I mean? Challenge yourself. You know what I mean? And don't be so hard on yourself. You know what I mean? Like challenge yourself and give yourself credit when credit is due, and just keep going. And know that no matter where you are, it can change in an instant. Just keep going, challenge yourself. I mean, I don't know if that's the best answer. It's a great question, but I hope that sheds a little bit of light.
Welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bob Bay. Each week with our guest episodes, I try to put the spotlight on someone who in my eyes is living their most authentic life. Today's guest was born and raised in Yonkers, New York. You might know him for songs Tonight is the Night, The Wildlife, and The Boogie. Or you've heard him in a Google, Apple, Bud Light commercial, plenty other brands out there. I didn't want to spend the entire intro listing them all off. He's a co-founder of 83 Sound, an LA-based independent record label. He was guest for episode 29 of Purpose in the Youth podcast for all the OG Bearded Man followers out there. That came out in March of 2017. Today on the podcast, fellow bearded brother, Richard Andrew, a.k.a. Outasight, baby.
Sheesh.
Let's go.
What a fantastic introduction. My goodness.
Man, had to make sure I was dialed in to
That
get this
was
podcast
good.
rolling,
Wow.
baby.
That was really good.
Dude,
Bobby, thank you for having me, man.
Pleasure. Came a long way since we did that first episode at the Middle East, upstairs, above the venue in the closet. I don't know if you remember, but I will never forget that conversation.
I remember it, and it's funny because before we started recording, I was like, what is that, 5 years ago? And you said 2017, so 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago. It feels like an eternity.
Crazy.
Time. Like a different world.
Just flying by.
Time flying by, but I'm glad to do this. 4 years later, we can catch up. Obviously,
yeah,
on the podcast. Obviously, we've stayed friendly through the years.
Totally. It's a different. It's a different type of conversation where I think back to like where I was in my podcast career. That was so early on. I've definitely found my voice and like the way I want to carry conversations, and so even just when I was prepping for this podcast, I can't re-listen to old podcasts of mine because I just don't want to hear my own voice.
Sure.
If there's a way to listen and just listen to the guest's voice, I would.
Right.
But like even just prepping for this and just thinking about the headspace I was in, what I was doing for work, like just the life I was living, it was just such a different time in my life. And to be where I am now, and even just now thinking about it, you played a pivotal role. Never forget that first party in LA. Me and Dylan moved into LA. You hit us up. You're like, yo, fellas, got this party in Venice.
How long were you guys in LA at the time?
I think literally one weekend.
Holy shit.
One weekend.
All right,
then
so
you
you're
pulled
here
us
for
out.
a week. Go ahead.
Here for a week. I'm jumping at Dylan like, yo, we got to go do something. We got to get out in the scene. You hit us up. You're like, yo, I'm going to my buddy's Snapchat party in Venice. I'm like, you could tell me anything of where you're going, Rich, and I'm going to be there.
That's right.
And come to find out, that moment, that party for Jeremiah's Snapchat release party has been brought up so many times since, where like I'll meet somebody for the first time, somehow, some way we connect, and like, you were at that Snapchat party, and so just a pivotal moment. And
I love it.
You just can't you put taking us under your wing as the two young bucks from Massachusetts moved out to LA.
It's funny because I don't do a ton of that, but shouts to Jeremiah. He was such a young go-getter at the time. Like, he's still killing it, obviously, but back then he was just like, I think I met him through a fellow photographer, and like I just barely knew him, but he was just like, I just dug his energy immediately. He's like, yo, we were like in Venice one day. He's like, you just go look around this store and I'll make it into dope content. He was just like so fucking sure of himself. I was like, well, this kid's going to be somebody. And so he had hit me up about this party, and it's like, I'm actually like not the like go to a party alone kind of guy. Like I might act like I'm super confident, but I'm not doing that. So I'm like, Bobby and Dylan, we're going together. So you guys help me get there too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
so
I'm glad we were able to connect the dots on that. So
yeah, crazy to see how dots connect.
That was dope. That house was on the canal.
Yeah, it was on the canal. It was now I've gotten to know those founders. It was the founder of a company called Feet. They were originally Feet Socks.
Yeah.
And then they evolved now and they do sweatshirts and sweatpants and all that. They've actually rebranded and completely blown up. But that was their house at the time when they were at the peak of their company. So
fire.
It's just crazy to see how that all full circles.
Yeah, now you're Bobby Venice, so you know way more than me.
Now I'm in Venice. I
yeah,
run
that's
by
what I'm saying.
House. I run by the house all the time.
Yeah, so
soon enough we're gonna be throwing down here. So get your party pants ready for that when that happens.
For sure.
You're going into the 5th studio album, and this will come out. I'll tell you a date now, just so maybe you'll be able to actually speak on it and knowing that. So this will come out June 28th. I know we're recording this a month ahead of time.
Yeah.
By then, I believe the album will be out. I haven't seen anything publicly about the titling of the album.
So it'll be 2 weeks before the album now. So yeah, the album now is. Let me look at my calendar. I had to push it back.
I can push the actual release. I should have checked this down with you before the
pod.
Oh,
you're fine. You're fine. So now the scheduled release date is July 16th.
Cool. So we'll push this.
Sometime
after.
And it's only the music is done. The album is done. It's just we're just doing some business stuff. I'm basically seeing who is going to be our distribution partner for the album.
Totally.
So we are, going back and forth with a few different people, and it's pretty much like last minute stuff. And my business partner, Will, or Cook Classics, he's about to be a dad. Wow. So it's just been a mad dash to kind of like, we got the music done, but just to see who's going to put it out. But that's the final date. It's coming out then. And we are, what's today's date? The 25th of May. I'm going to, I think, announce this week. I've just been collecting and getting all the content together and doing that. So, that's the part of the process that I like doing, but I don't necessarily excel at. So I've taken a little bit more time this time around.
Yeah. Well, you want to be in the studio making the music and then kind of let the other parts of the business fall into place, I would imagine.
That's always been me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been a studio guy, write songs almost every day. Like that's been always my like hustle. You know what I mean?
How much of the process changes from when you think back to like your debut album, Nights Like These, to now, like the prep process for rolling it out? Obviously, when you're rolling out your debut album, this is like all new. You're just like running and gunning and like learning on the fly. But like, do you feel like now it is just so much more calculated? You know that what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, or do you feel like it's still just throwing ideas at the wall?
It's always throwing ideas at the wall, especially for me. I don't have like a huge, I don't have like a huge fan base. So it's always kind of like, I don't know, I'm just trying to throw shit. And it's like, what am I even doing? But it's changed a lot for me personally on the creative side. Because when I was doing the first album back then, I mean, shit, it's almost 10 years ago. That album came out in 2012. And at that time, it would be like, I'd go to the studio when I could, it was like, all right, they booked a studio for you and you'd like record a song or two and you'd work that way. And it only started when I moved out to Los Angeles in 2014, where I got myself a desk and literally went to work every fucking day and started recording myself and being like, okay, now I'm like figuring out the music and like having the chance to experiment. So back then, a lot more control was given to everybody else. So Warner Brothers, was a part of that whole like rollout thing, content, and even the music, like I didn't have a chance necessarily to like fully develop ideas. So, I don't know how great I am at content. I know I recorded a podcast around the album. I did 8 episodes. I'm really excited on that. But I do know musically and like creatively, the development like changed dramatically. And that's what kind of fulfilled me as a creative human, just being able to go to my desk every day and be like, just work on songs and just fuck around and record my own vocals and like be like, I don't like how this sounds. I'm going to work on this. I'll work on this. Because you used to leave the studio and be like, that's the song you got. You know what I mean?
That's it.
And it's like, and it's like, maybe you go back and change it. But like back then it would be like, yeah, it's cool. Or it's like, yeah, this is great. Like, there wasn't really a lot of wiggle room. Now it's like, I can start from a voice memo and a song can change its iteration multiple times before anyone hears it.
Yeah. Do you feel like now too, obviously you're a father, you have a wife, you have a family, like you must be much more like treating this like a routine wise, like of when you're working, when you're not, because I had even heard in I don't know if you had a chance to see J. Cole's new little mini doc on YouTube. It's like 12 minutes. I love the part where he talks about how I don't know if he had gotten advice from Pharrell or if it was a conversation he had about Pharrell where he essentially talked about how he had created, he's in the studio for certain hours of the day. That's it. And he leaves. And J. Cole was talking about like how he would just sit in the studio for 14, 15 hours a day and slowly work on things. But I think that can hurt you when you are putting too much time into something, you have more time to just screw around, where if you get really narrow about like, I got 6 to 8 hours today to work, and then that's it. You kind of have to hustle and get shit done.
Regimen is everything for me. And when he said that, that hit right at home. And to be completely honest, I don't know Pharrell personally, but I know people that know Pharrell. And for years, I've known that like Pharrell goes to the studio like 9 to 5.
Wow.
And I always loved that. So, I'll give actually a lot of credit to my business partner and my good friend Cook. But when I got out here, I didn't have a studio or anything. And dude was like, yo, just take this room in my house and make it a studio. And every day he'd be in his studio working with different writers, different stuff. And I had beats and different ideas. And it was just kind of like, okay, he's working every day. I guess I should work every day. So I started to build out that like, I get there till 10 and I work till 5:30 and I go play basketball. And it's like, I built my routine. All of a sudden, it was like you said, like I'm in here and it's like, I got my coffee, bang, bang. I start here, boom. I get my little snack, boom, boom. And it's like, you start to like, your mind like starts to like feel that creative arc and like, know, like you kind of ride those waves and like understand it. Cause like, I was like J. Cole, like back in the day, like you get to the studio at like 9 o'clock, then it's like fucking around.
Yeah.
And it's, somebody brings in some liquor and you're there till 4 a.m. And it's like, what are you really doing? I don't fucking know. And I did that for years. And it's like, you do have your creative moments, but it's like, it's not as locked in. I mean, at the end of the day, this shit is, it's creative, but like, it is a profession. Like we make a living off of what we create. So it's like, I treat it as such. Like I have my hours, I get to my desk, I work, and then I get to fuck off my desk.
Yeah.
Because you got to fill your well. You know what I mean? And then that was one of the hardest things I think about the pandemic was like creatively filling your well. You know what I mean? And I heard a lot of people say the art suffered sometimes, but I just tried to dig deep. And even like when the shit was going on, like I get to my desk every day and I felt really lucky that I was able to work from home and just keep working. But, just building that out and just I have my routine for sure.
Yeah. I think it's just repetition. And I think even when I think back into finding my own voice in my own podcast career, I would just work any hours and all hours. And I would just assume that more hours I put in equals more productive that I am. But then it took me time of realizing that that's not actually true. It's quality of hours versus the quantity. And that ultimately when I'm able to create the space and differentiate when I'm working, when I'm not working, the hours that I'm not working actually allows me to create space from the craft. It allows me to live life. It allows me to enjoy myself so that by the time I'm actually sitting back at the desk, there isn't a need of me trying to create the momentum, trying to create the creative juice, because I'm fired up to be back. I'm ready to like lock in and talk about all these things that have been on my mind the last couple of days. So I think it's definitely important. And I think Eminem is very similar to that, where he's always created like that 9 to 5 type schedule, which I think is just really important. But you brought up Cook. Such an important person, obviously, in your career. Yeah. Did he make the move? Because you guys had grown up together. You guys had come up together. Did he make the move to LA before you, or how did that?
We met in like, we didn't grow up together, but we met in like, probably like, I think 2009.
Okay.
So
I don't mean grow up. I think I just mean like you guys started working together early on.
He's from New York City, but he went to college out here and he was just out here. And my homie Six Sense, who's another brother of mine, we were working together musically all the time, and he threw a concert at the Knitting Factory in New York City many moons ago. I think it was 2009, and Cook was just like an up and coming hungry beat maker, the same way I was like an up and coming, rapper singer. And he was like, yo, I want to get you on one of my beats. He sent me some beats. I recorded one of the songs. I ended up like on like one of his like producer mixtapes. And then I just loved his beats, and I think our styles just meshed. So we immediately hit it off, and he was just mad cool. So immediately, I don't know, back then, like the world is changed so dramatically, but like back then it was just like, you're younger than me, so it probably seems more normal, but like I barely knew him, but he was like, yo, come out, stay on the crib, let's work. So I got on a plane and I just went and stayed with homie and his homies.
Where did he hit you
like,
through MySpace message or something?
Maybe. I think by then we were cool. Like it might have been email or text or whatever, but like, we just started working together a lot. And I would come stay out here in LA and just like sleep on homie's couch, and he had a little studio in his back house set up, and we'd all kick it and, eat $5 burritos and just make music. And then I think I was signed, or I got signed to Warner, and like some of our songs were like supposed to be a part of like the first iteration of like my album. So like we were working really hard to like break through like on the label shit, because like I was on Warner and it was like, I just need a single. I just need this. If I do this, I can get my music out. Because like working in the major label construct, like that's how it is. It's like, it's always like, so like Cook was like my ride or die, like, you know what I mean? And so we just kept working and working. And then we made Tonight Is the Night. And we made Tonight Is the Night just like we made like any of our other joints. You know what I mean? Just like kicking it, fucking making jams, eating sandwiches, like
a regular night,
tight.
Regular day.
Yeah, this is cool. Like whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, and immediately, Tonight Is the Night. Like we had Tonight Is the Night for a while, but like people behind the scenes were like, "Oh, this is good. This is strong," and we were like, "Okay, cool." And then eventually, probably like 6 months later, Tonight Is the Night came out, and all that shit happened, Pepsi and all that other stuff. But like, it was from when that happened to when Cook and I met was probably like 2 solid years of just grinding together. And like Cook was just, hustling the same way I was. Like we were fucking broke, like just trying to get on. You know what I mean? Like I had a major label deal. And what made Tonight Is the Night so special, and is so special, was, so often in pop music, which is totally cool, but there'll be a lot of writers and producers on it, because it's a process to make great songs, hit songs, especially songs on the radio and like the top of Spotify charts. If you go down and you start looking, you're like, damn, there's 5 writers on the song. There's 8 writers on the song, because it touches a lot of hands, because the creative process to make songs that are that good, sometimes that's how it goes. Totally cool. But with Tonight Is the Night, it was just me and Cook.
Wow.
It was just me and him, and so we were just like 2 complete noobs just made a platinum song like on a sunny day in Burbank. Like, and so, yeah, that's the homie. And like I said, so yeah, you know what I mean? And to be working together 10, 12 years later, like, that just kind of shows the kind of person he is, and hopefully the kind of person I am.
Yeah. I mean, there's 2 things I want to go off. First off, I'm curious as to in what ways has maintaining such a long relationship with him made you a better person, whether it's musically or just personally. And then secondly, I'm just kind of curious, like from what you've seen and experienced of the music industry, like you just said, like people don't understand that behind the scenes, there's multiple people that write that record, that help, these top songs that we hear on the radio. What does it, is it a formula to making the hit song? Like what does it take? Is it just the roll of the dice,
Sure. All right. So, all right, there's a lot of the questions. So
the
first one was, as far as Cook, yeah, like he's just a solid dude. Like a million times he could have just been like, the label he's on, they're fucking annoying. This is way too much of a pain in the ass. He ended up producing a bunch of other hits. He could have just been like, dude, I love you, but kick rocks a million times. But he always rode with me, man. And so he's a stand-up motherfucker. And me, I'm like A1 solid. Like, you ride with me like that, like I'll kill for you. You know what I mean?
You're from New York, baby.
You know what I mean? So like immediately it's like, no, that's my dog. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And we just were able to like create like a little independent hustle that just killed it. And like, it's just super chill. Like it's very easy to work with homie. He's a good person. We became good friends. So, he definitely made me work really hard, because he came up through the game as a producer, and like he developed such a great ear. So like he definitely on a creative basis he would challenge me and challenges me all the time to be better, and I welcome it because I want to be better. You know what I mean? I trust his ear and his creativity, and so we're able to bounce ideas off of it. So if he's like, yo, I don't think this hook is hitting, or like something like that, or like this shit is whack, I go back to the drawing board, because you need to have that. You know what I mean? You can't just have everyone be like, yo, this is dope.
You need somebody that's going to be willing to tell you the truth.
The truth, because if he sends me beats that I don't like or an idea that I don't like, I'm just going to be like, not for me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, yeah, this is sick. It's just, you got to have that. And so we have that creatively. And then, we've just became great friends. You know what I mean? He's just a ride or die dude. So, he's definitely made me a better artist, and he's a great, great friend. As far as the music and the hit process, you know, back in the day, there used to be way more of like a process when it was like Dr. Luke, Max Martin, those guys dominated radio, and there was like certain elements. Songwriting, there's arrangement that's always going to be there. It's going to be, you can change it. You know, it's like it's like building a map, right? But it's like 4-bar intro. All right, we're going into the verse. 8 bars. We're going to do a hook. Post hook after the second hook. After the post hook, we might come with a bridge. That's always going to be there.
It's always the same.
It can change. You could be like, all right, we're going straight into the hook, then a verse. Or you could say we're going straight into the verse. So those little elements can change. But now musically, I don't think there's a template for hit songs. I think authenticity is winning out big time. You know, like that Olivia Rodrigo girl, I think she's incredible. And she's so fucking real. Like she just, her and that, her producer wrote all that shit like on her bed. Like she was like, you know, broken up. I don't know the full story, but like authenticity to me wins. And then there's just like real shit and like fun shit. But I think maybe in hip hop and R&B, there was like a wave that happened in Spotify and everyone kind of was sounding like that. So there is some of that. But I think the biggest songs that like break through are like authentic. And I think that's been like the common thing. So like when I'm looking at young artists, it's like, that's what I want to see. It's like, I want to see who you are and what it's about. But I don't think there's a template anymore. You know what I mean? There used to be like when, you know, like all those in the 2000s and early, even like when Tonight Is the Night was big, there was like a huge trend of like EDM, right? It was like build, hook,
Yeah.
You know, and it's like that kind of came and went. So now there's like pocket stuff, but like it's nothing crazy. And I think the bigger and cooler stuff is like coming straight from the artist, honesty.
What about our boy Drizzy Drake? Just got Artist of the Decade. Does he follow a formula, or is he just?
No, I think Drake is just like the best A&R in the streets ever. Like he's always early on like what's already bubbling, and then just kills it. And he's just a master at his craft. I'm a huge Drake fan.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he just gets it. You know what I mean? So like, it's like, okay, this is kind of what's hitting here. Like he can even like, okay, this is popping in Memphis. I'm gonna bring it all the way out. You know what I mean? This is this is that. He's so good at that, and then he's just so crisp with it.
I know.
Yeah,
seeing him win weirdly just gets me so fired up and like fires me up to do my own thing in life. And I'm not even trying to be an artist, not trying to do anything like him, but just seeing the level of what he does it at and the way he like carries himself and the confidence and it's just flawless. Everything that he does execution wise.
And people have wanted to knock him off the top forever, but he just keeps winning. You know what I mean? I'm a huge Drake fan too. I like, he's a killer, man.
I know. He's so damn good. What do you think's been one of the toughest lessons that you've learned while working in the music industry?
Man, you can't jump at the first opportunity you get, unfortunately. You know, even though the opportunities become few and far between, the music business is fucked up. People are fucked up. They will steal from you. They will not pay you correctly. They'll put you in a deal that'll leave you stuck. Like, I just try and tell the young artists, Like, just have your shit right. Understand the business. It's hard to understand it, but once you learn, you're like, oh, because when I first started signing deals and shit, like, I didn't fully understand things, and that kind of leaves you in the dark. You really got to know what you're putting your signature on, and so the music business is tough in that way. So you really got to know, because people will fuck you over. There's no nice guy shit in this music business. I try to be a nice guy and trying to do more non-traditional things as we do 83 Sound, because I have been an artist who's been stuck. You know what I mean? Like, this is what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? And it's like, what? Because you wanted this amount of money, or you thought this opportunity was going to present itself. And you got to be really careful and trust your instincts on that. And I think now the younger artists, they have more opportunity than ever to do things on their own, and they are. So that's great. But obviously, the system and the major system is always going to be there too, which is fine. Just know your shit, and you know, save your dough too. I mean, motherfuckers be spending, bro.
I know, it's crazy. I know.
It's like learn, bro. Learn. Like, there's ebbs and flows in this game. You know what I mean? Like, if I had to rely on tonight as the night money, I would be doing real estate, bro. I wouldn't be making music like full time. Like, I wouldn't be able to live off that.
I try to believe that the longer it takes me to secure these big bags, or to like get to these high level things that I want to do within my own career, I hope the better I will be with money by when it comes, because it will have taken me so long to get there. I feel like people that get on real quick, really early, they just assume like, wow, I started making music and then 2 years later I'm making millions of dollars. Like, it's only going to keep coming in. But in reality, it's not going to be like that. Like, you need to be smart with your money from day one, and actually strategically put it in the right places. So I try to tell myself that, because I've been able to go from a place of living by my bare minimum, and then having a little bit increase in growth over the last couple of years. But I try to trust that when the day does come and these big bags come, because I keep doing this damn thing, then will be smart with the money. Then I'm not just going to go out and spend it aimlessly. But yeah, I mean, I see the way some people want to flex and spend. And I also think too, it's like they are doing that because they don't even have, it's insecurities. They need to have the nice car, the nice, watch, the everything in order to feel good about themselves. And it's like, I feel just as confident in this plain t-shirt and shorts and socks than they do. So,
I mean, look, if you got the dough, and, first get yourself a good ass accountant, you know what I mean? Because you're going to have to pay, Uncle Sam a whole bunch
taxes
of
going to come knocking, baby.
Bro, it's a fact of life. You know what I mean? I was like, when I started making paper and I was like, oh shit, like what the fuck? And it's like, you don't even know, you know what I mean? And it's like, if you got it, that's fine. You want to spend it, but like, just be wise about it. And it's ebbs and flows, even when I've gotten some of my, just been had like successful moments in my life, I like to be like hungry and like work as hard like I don't have anything.
Smart.
Because I remember, I mean, shit, only a few years ago, like I was like, oh fuck, like I don't know if music, I can, like, this isn't a job right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna have to do something else. And then I just kept hustling and fought back from the motherfucking dead. Straight up. I mean, I don't even know how to say it. Like, I was dead, bro. I was dead in the water. When I moved out to LA, I was fucking toast. I didn't have a label. I didn't have shit going. I wasn't touring. So
did you have was your first son born at the time too?
Yeah, no, I had 2 kids out here, small kids. And I mean, my back was really against the wall and I had to fight for it. And that's why, I ride with a dude like Cook. This motherfucker was like, take a studio in my crib and let's get to work. You know what I mean? And like, I pivoted and I had a second album that, just wasn't, providing a living for me. So I flipped it and changed it. And that second album had The Wildlife, The Boogie, both those songs on it. And those songs went crazy.
Wow.
And all of a sudden it was like, bro, I was assed out, and I was like in a 800 square foot crib, like barely making rent, like with my face in the NBA, like, oh shit, I'm back. I had to fight, bro. I had to fight. I'm telling you, the music industry don't give a fuck. Everybody who's kissing your ass when you're on the radio, they're gone. They're gone. That's just how it is. Like for me, I had a hit, but I never was a star. So it was like I couldn't just go back on the road or like go to another label. Like I was like, oh shit. The only thing I know how to do is make bangers. Like straight up. Like I'm just a fucking fantastic songwriter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, it's time to make some songs.
You and Cook together is unbelievable because lyrically you nail it, and then you put his production with it, which just sounds like this orchestra of just like I just like every time I click into one of your songs, Rich, I just like it goes hand in hand, both what you're saying lyrically to like his
noise.
Oh my
it's
God.
Loud,
stadium.
It's dynamic.
It's literally stadium music.
Try and bring a party. I mean, you know me, man. I like to hang. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm 38 now, so I'm not hanging the way
38 years young. Come on,
I'm not hanging the way I used to hang, but I still love to have a fucking good time. And for me, I just found a lane. Like the wildlife took off and the boogie took off, and I was like, I spent my whole early career, like all my early mixtapes were like super hip hop, then got soulful. And then my first album was like filled with like almost EDM dance songs. You know what I mean? And so I never found a lane really as Outasight. So it took the wildlife and then the boogie, because like I just love funk and fun and soulful music. I was like, oh shit, I got a lane. And so that's just been it. So, I just the last 5 years, I stayed in my lane. You know what I mean? And so, and shit, I'm chilling. I bought a crib. I'm chilling. Like
Let's go, baby.
Like I run a label. Like
we
can't. I'm just trying to. And I say this not to brag, but I'm just. If anybody hears this and wants to be motivated, because like, I really was I was below zero. I really was like, but I didn't give up, and I just hustled and was lucky too. But like you can bounce back. You know what I mean? I hope to motivate somebody, because I don't really share my story that often.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty private person. Like I'm not on the gram really talking. I don't do a lot. It's not my thing. It's not who I am as a person, really. It's just not who I am. To me, it's like I just like to create. I'm a floater. You know what I mean? Like I want to be just jamming. Like what words are coming to me, what flows are coming to me. You know what I mean? Like, which is maybe not been. Maybe you need all of it now. You need to be able to make content, different stuff like that. So. Just to share my story.
I think it's key to just be self-aware, though. It's just like you're saying, you recognize you like to create, you're in that flow, and that in of itself takes up enough of your time in the week on top of everything else, your family, running a label. Like it's impossible to do every single thing, to show behind the scenes, to put out vlogs, like showing you in the studio, to then putting out the music. Like you can't do everything. And so I always think the key is just like you're saying, like it's just being self-aware. If that's not the way you want to communicate to the world, that's fine. That's just not what you're going to push. Then it's like, it's not a big deal. And I think then that's when these podcasts end up becoming more important, when I can get guests like you who don't come out from behind the curtain all that much, that they hear the music, they see like, the updates on like what's happening behind the scenes from time to time. But these are the most important podcasts, is the people like you that are very much behind the curtain often, but then hearing kind of what it's taken to actually get here and some of these hurdles that you've had to overcome. It's like, shit, like he didn't just buy the crib in LA and have a family. Like there was a lot of shit along the way.
And I don't share it. So it's like, you probably, if you go through my Twitter and Instagram for years, you'd be like, oh, he just seems like a really happy guy. You know what I mean? But like I was fucking assed out. And so that happens, and the music industry can really humble you. Well, you know what I mean?
You made a comment about, how like you were kind of in this low moment, but you were on the NBA. And so it's like, how does that even happen? But I think one thing that outside looking in, that I've seen, and Dylan's communicated with me, especially when I was living with Dylan, just like you have crushed like these sync deals where you've worked with the NBA, you've worked with Google, Apple, Bud Light, Mountain Dew, Madden, NFL, and literally a handful of other brands. How important has this avenue been in your career? And like, how did you figure it out?
It's the most important. It is my career. It is who I am. Without it, I don't have a career, frankly. And it happened by accident. And I feel incredibly lucky and incredibly grateful. When we made the Wildlife, we had basically at the time I was ice cold and I was living in LA, and my manager at the time was like, yo, I can pitch you for a Mountain Dew commercial that my ad agency is doing. We just need something fun. I said, cool. We had horns from our guy Carlos Sosa on a hard drive. Bum 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 bum. Me, Shaban, and Cook are in the studio. He just starts laying in the bass. I just had the song titled "The Wildlife" forever. I always wanted to use it, and we just made the song that day. I sent it. They're like, "Yeah, this is cool. We'll let you know." It gets the commercial eventually, probably just through our relationships. Cool. Nothing crazy. We're on the board. It's nice. It's been 3 years, 2 years where I've literally had nothing go right for me. So I'm like, this is good. Okay, here we go. So got that. And then it took time. And like we were excited. Bro, I put out the Wildlife video and it was on my Vivo page, which I never had a Vivo. The first day it had like 90 views, bro. I'm like calling my manager like, we got to take this down. This is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. This is terrible. 3 years ago, I was on the radio. Now I look like a fucking fool. He's like, bro, who fucking cares? And I had to let it go. And all of a sudden, the emails just keep coming. Hey, we like this song. We want to use it. Hey, bing, bing, bing. I made the Boogie the same time frame. Me and my boy Giddy made that one. Bro, I was like, yo, let's make a song that we can sing at a wedding. I want to make a dance like The Hustle. I wasn't thinking about anything. And these songs just took on a life of their own. And so I was like, okay, what's the secret sauce here? And they're really, it's just fun. And it's just, I guess, stuff that people can relate to. And then when we did do something crazy, same kind of thing. Like, I just was like, yo, it was the summertime. I was in a raging mood. And I just wanted to make one of those songs that like took me back to like when I was with the homies, like keg parties, like just fucking raging. And then boom, it's in a movie. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I started to learn more about the business, but I never creatively was like, I need to make it for sync, because this is a big part of the music business. Music licensing is a massive, massive fucking industry. And I am just a little speck, but I just built out my little niche. And I make fun, party music, good tempo. And it's real because I'm a real artist. I still love to do shows. I still love to do shit. And the power, you know, obviously I have people who are pitching my music and trying to get it on stuff all the time. And the powers that be have taken a liking to it. And I was able to build out a career. And that's now what I'm trying to do with the label, is help other artists have that kind of success, you know? So it's been everything.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing because, like I said, outside looking in, I don't think people realize, like, they just assume if you're trying to become an artist, the only avenue is you have to be touring and you have to be on stage and you have to have a top song on the top charts in order to make a living. But you have been able to do that behind the scenes and put up like these incredible deals with major brands, movies. And your music gets heard across so many eyeballs, like from all these opportunities. But it's just such an interesting avenue that I think it almost is an example. Like, even if you're not trying to be in the music industry, there's always other outlets there's always other ways to make a living doing the thing you wanted to do. And even just thinking like my example, like I work on behalf of a brand in the podcast space where I'm buying media space for the brand. Do I wish that, you know, I want to be doing podcasting full time? Yes. Am I going to get there? 100%. But at least along the way, I'm now learning as a buyer what a brand's looking for, what they want to hear in a read, in order to drive results, so that when the time comes, I know how to deliver it. I know what they're looking for. I know how to execute it. I know how to give them over the value, give them that extra value. But sometimes we just assume that if we're not doing the thing that we think is the only way to do it, that there's no other route. But I think this is just a great example. There are other routes of doing it. And
you have to be welcoming to all of it. Totally. Like, just be ready. Just have an open mind. Yeah. Because it's very, for years, I mean, dude, I wanted to be Bruno Mars. I wanted to be Justin Timberlake. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, you see me live, like, I could get it. Like,
you can dance. I see them dancers, baby.
Dance, but like, I got like, I'm a talented dude. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
But I came up in New York City. It was hard. Like, I know I got, like, I could do it.
You got the juice.
But things change, and to just piggyback on your point, like, there's so much more under the hood than you ever would imagine, right? And so when these opportunities started to present themselves to me, I had to really have an open mind and understand, like, this is really exciting, because so many more people have heard my music just because of this, and I've been able to support myself and make a living and just have so much fun doing it. And it took me a bit to, like, kind of, like, fully embrace. Because, like, I would still be like, all right, well, we got to take wildlife to radio. We got to do this. We got to do that. And it's like, cool. Those opportunities may present itself. But, like, right now, you have this wave. You just got to ride this wave. And you just got to go where it goes. And then when you get off the board, you can be like, okay, where am I now? Right? And you can get the next one. But sometimes you just got to welcome it in. You know what I mean? Because you don't get to choose fully what your story is going to be. You don't, you're just the main character, and you can only think you're going one way, but real quick, it can change. Like, the universe kind of will decide what your real story is going to be. So you just got to put yourself in the position to be successful. And that's what I did, like, just by making mad songs. I was just like, fuck it. And then I felt that opportunity, and I was like, okay, this is the wave. So then half the second album had horns all over it, and the other half was from the previous thing. And then it was just like, going forward, like, this is where we're going. You know what I mean? Yeah. You kind of learn and adapt.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a key, because the moment you start comparing yourself to other people's ways of doing it and their own stories of how they got to their success, that's when you're going to hurt yourself, because you're going to assume that if you're not following their steps, or if your career or path isn't similar to theirs, you're not going to be successful. But in reality, the fun part is the moment you recognize that your story is unique to yourself, that every decision you make is just part of the story. There is technically no wrong or right decision, because no matter how it plays out, you just have to then make the next decision. Or, like you're saying, you get off the board, you hop on the next wave, get off the board, hop on the next wave. And it's just this constant flow over and over and over again.
Yeah. And some are huge waves and some are little ripples, right? Yeah. I mean, but you don't get to choose. The ocean gets to choose. The universe kind of gets to choose.
Totally. Still got to get up on that board, baby.
Still got to get up on there, man.
Get up on the board.
Yeah.
83 Sound. You and Cook come together, start this. We mentioned it multiple times on the pod. I haven't had a chance to really dive into it, but it's an LA-based independent record label. I think it started in 2019.
Yeah.
What was the vision for launching this?
Yeah. So, I mean, my previous label was with my previous management. So that deal was up, and I'm now of the age and the maturity where it was like, I understand the business. And I want to do it myself. It's like, I don't need a manager. I can put on my big boy pants now and do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So it was the next step. So I was going to do it anyway. Cook and I were already working together. Cook is really, really smart business dude. And so we were just like, you want to just do this label together? We're like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's do it. So our first iteration, so then, we had to build it out a bit. And we got things rolling, and our vision was to sign dope artists and make great songs and build artist careers with trying to get their music licensed. Right. And using that as a way to break artists. And so, and not make music for sync, but make music that can sync. So, because there's a lot of companies and businesses out there, because this is, like I said, this is a very competitive space with a lot of money. So it ain't just me hanging out. You know what I mean? It's a fucking, it's hard. You know what I mean? So Yeah, it's like, oh,
let's go to Rich. We got a commercial.
Like, no.
We need music. Let's go to
You
Rich.
know what I mean? Like, exactly. It's not that.
You got people
So,
outside your door right now waiting to have the conversation.
It's fucking hard, man. And I'm very grateful for every opportunity I've been given. And so there's brands and companies and labels and publishers out there that have a lot of artists who are just making music for sync. And that's cool. And some of these people are incredibly talented, but it's like fake bands, fake names. We don't do that. We just wanted our, artists to make shit that we think can be used across the board and like culturally shifting campaigns. And so we signed Chelsea, who my good homie, and her manager was my touring manager, Dre. I was like, let's work on it. So we did a project. My homie Santino, who I've known forever, had him do a project. Dylan in Abstract did a project for us. Jerome the Prince is now working with us. So we're just building it up. Obviously, COVID, COVID threw everybody through a loop. So it is what it is. The game shut down for a bit, came back. 2021 has been really fun. We're learning a lot on the fly. Every day you run a business, you learn something new. Because you're just like, oh, yeah, I want it to be this. And then the next day you're like, oh, but really it's that. And so that's one thing I've learned a ton on. But that was really the vision. And so now we're in year 2. And we have we have a bigger vision for sure. So now it's just about aligning with the right people. So partner-wise. So, yeah, one step at a time, really.
How do you balance both business when it's time to do business stuff for 83 Sound, and then when it's creative time for you? Do you kind of break it up, or is it just...
It's hard, actually. Great question. It's hard. So what I try and do is spend my first hour at my desk doing admin and stuff that I need to do. And then if there's a day where I have calls for work, which isn't crazy often, I'll just kind of blank that day out. I try not to intermingle too much the creative and the business. Happens a lot. Sometimes I get into a very bad habit of I'll have 2 screens, and one screen will have an email open and be way too fast on email and just not leave people waiting. But part of our business is to be responsive and move fast. So I do blend it, but I do really try and regiment it where it's like, all right, cool. Now these next 4 hours I'm going to create. Stay the fuck off that and that, because you get so distracted.
Totally. Especially emails, it just keeps coming in.
And creativity just gets zapped.
Yeah.
It'll get zapped because, it's 2 sides of the brain, man.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So it's like, this place is closed now. You know what I mean? Maybe if you go for a walk or a run.
Stuff shop.
You know what I mean? It's we're not open today.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Exactly. So, it's a challenge.
Yeah. I think it's key, like you're saying, you're understanding it almost sounds like you're understanding what time of day the part of the brain that you're ready to use, whether it's the creative or the admin, and then just dedicating that. Because I know for me personally, I love the early mornings to bang out the creative. Nobody's emailing me. Nobody's texting me. Nobody's calling me. So I can just 1 hour of straight focus feels like 3 hours of me just bullshitting around while trying to do something. So I think it's just paying attention to, finding those hours of the day that work best for you, and then just doubling down on it. But it definitely takes a little bit of trial and error.
It does. And, it's very easy to be like, yeah, I'm going to do it this way. This is my routine. And then you're like, fuck shit, I got to check my email. It's like crack. Yeah. It's like fucking crack.
Yeah. It's sometimes I try to remind myself, I can have my slip ups here and there, because I know in the long term, over the big picture, I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to get the work done. I'm going to be disciplined enough. I'm going to make sure that I eat healthy enough and all that good stuff. So I try to give myself some slack that here and there I can slip up, and it's not too big of a deal.
I mean, you're only human, dude. Don't worry about it. You're doing great.
Totally. Yeah. I appreciate that. You're a father of 2 sons and a daughter, I believe, right now, right?
Yep.
How has becoming a father changed you?
Look, I tell this, my cook's having a kid, and anybody, who my friends who don't have kids, you immediately are like, it just makes you realize there's more important things than yourself. Like, you go through a period in your life where you're just selfish. Everything is just about you, right? Yeah. How far I can take my career, how much fun I want to have, what I'm going to do. It's all me. And then once you're now responsible for somebody else's life. It's like, guess it's not about me anymore. And the older they get and the more they develop their personalities, it's like, okay, now I need to raise good people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I need to make sure that these people are good people and we lead them the right way. So, my wife and I spend a lot of time trying to figure that out. But it changed me dramatically. I mean, I really had to grow the fuck up eventually. And I'm still a grown ass kid, but it really, eventually you just kind of the maturity level for me over the past few years, it wakes you up, man. It's just a different thing, and it's a lot of fun. It's the most rewarding but challenging thing, and I'm sure a lot of people say that, but I really do think that's the deal.
Yeah, and I would imagine too, it probably holds you more accountable to kind of like we were talking about earlier with Pharrell, where he kind of sections off this hour. And I think J. Cole even talked about the doc where it's like now that he was a father, not only did he bring the studio into his home, so he was closer to his family, but then it was like, I only got these 8 hours, and then that's it. And so I think it almost probably puts more fire under your ass to get 100%. The work done. So then that way you can, I think you're the baseball coach too.
I'm a Little League coach.
100%. Little League coach?
Yeah.
100%.
I coach baseball. I coach basketball. I build Legos. I build Duplos. Dude, yeah. I don't know where I find the time. Honestly, I don't. I get up early. I'm you do
your thing.
The early morning. What's your saying? Early morning wins the day.
Win the morning, win the day.
Win the morning, win the day.
Win the morning, win the day, baby.
So that's me, baby.
I'm up that early. Flying on a plane across the LA at some point.
Shit. So you'll be ready for kids whenever you have them. You know, you'll be ready.
We'll cross that bridge at some point.
You got time.
Not yet. I gotta run around Venice for a couple of years and see what I get myself into.
Have your fun.
Yeah, definitely gonna have my fun. I know earlier you mentioned you're gearing up to launch That's My Jam. It's pretty much like a podcast where you bring on guests and you guys talk about an album of the guest's choice. What have you enjoyed about this? What was the inspiration to want to create it? Are you scratching your own itch, just wanting to catch up with people? And
I came up with the idea of like brushing my teeth or making bacon or something. I was like, it'd be a good idea. And then I was like, I put it on Twitter, and it's not like it got like a great response. Like some of my tweets are just such airballs, and nobody cares. And this one, I was like, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, oh, people like this idea. Well, now I got to do it because very rarely. No, I'm just kidding. But like, this is. It inspired me, like and I put it on Instagram and I got a lot of feedback. So I was like, oh, this is actually a good idea. And then I talked about it with a few other people and they're like, it's a great idea. And my good friend, my childhood friend, Pell, was like, yo, I want to be in the first episode. Let's do it. And he kind of put the battery in my bag big time because he was like, it's a great idea. So we did Tribe Called Quest is Low End Theory and I just had fun with it. And I feel like naturally, like I have some like host DNA in me. So it was like, it's definitely scratching an itch, and I'm a music nerd, music junkie for sure. So it was kind of covering those things. And, it's like we talked about earlier, it's like you need content for your album. And it's like, what is my old ass going to do for content? Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't fucking know. Like, I'm not hiring a kid to film everything I do. It'd just be madness. And I don't want that. It's not my thing. So I felt like this was really controlled, creative, and in like up my alley. So it was like, it was really fun. I did 8 episodes for season 1 and I didn't do more than that because if I do too much, I'm not going to do it. And I'm a type of person, if I do an idea, I must do it. I'm not, so I will set the limits. Because if I was like, I'm going to do 15 episodes with music cues and this, that, and the fourth. And then it's like, bruh, I'm out. You know what I mean? I was like, if I do 8, bong, I can do this here, then, and it's done. They're already done in the can, and I'm good. That's just who I am as a human. I might be a little type A or OCD.
No, I love that.
So it was like, we're done. And so maybe we'll come back for season 2. We're able to see how it's received. But really fun.
Man, that's a good idea. I think it's a great idea where it's definitely going to give people that know you for your music like an outlet to just hear you talk and free flow about like life and music, especially if the concept is focused on music in of itself. Yep. I think it's going to be a great outlet for people to get to know you more. And definitely I would imagine like it's probably bringing back, I know you and Dylan had done Baseline Jam for a minute, and that was very much like basketball, a little bit of music incorporated. So it's probably bringing back that itch that you were scratching with that podcast. So
we had so much fun with that, and I felt like our best conversations kind of like were about like life and music.
Yeah.
Like when we kind of like the basketball side was really niche, you know what I mean? But like once, you know, I do miss those convos, you know, because Dylan's such a good friend. And we did Channel Orange, and Dylan was amazing. And that was the second episode. He was just, he really just, he crushed it. And it was like doing that episode with him, it was the second one I did. It was like, oh, this is actually a real thing, you know, because the first one was, it was really like hanging out with an old friend. I mean, I've known him since I was fucking 10 years old.
Totally.
So episode 2, all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, this is like a real idea. This is cool. You know what I mean? So it was really great getting back on there with Dylan too.
Yeah. I saw Dylan a couple weeks ago, and he told me he had did the podcast with you. He told me the concept, and I go, you picked Frank Ocean. He goes, what album? I go, Channel Orange. He's like, fuck, how'd you know?
Yeah. And I
know,
sent,
that's your bread and butter, man.
I sent him the episode after we did it. I edited it and did it. And I was like, you got to tell me what you think. You know, you got to tell me, Dylan. And he just hits me and he goes, yo, this is fantastic. And I was like, yes,
let's go.
I was like, okay, I'm on to something.
He wouldn't lie.
He wouldn't lie. I know.
Dylan wouldn't lie. He would tell you.
He'd call me and be like, yo, this is kind of mid. Here's maybe what you could do. He was like, this is fantastic. And I knew he meant it. And I was just like, okay, all right, good. Right. Okay, yeah.
Dylan's not lying. Dylan's not lying.
All right, so I did something right. Yeah.
That's great. When's the release for that?
So, you know, I'm going to put it around the album. So
cool. Sometime in July then?
Yeah, and like I'm gonna start putting out episodes before the album and then after.
Cool.
So it'll be kind of a little bit of a
just sprinkle it out whenever.
Yeah, my album rollout. It's been I haven't put out an album since 18. It's 21. I want to get an album out just to have out. I've put out a lot of music though, so I just had people come to me recently being like, "Hey, who's gonna be your distribution for 83 Sound?" And so having those conversations, I just didn't want to rush it. You know what I mean? Because who knows.
Take it nice and easy, my friend.
Yeah, you've
been around the block. You know not to jump into anything that's not too soon.
And you're only as good as like the people you're working with, man.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like so, like we've had a lot of success. We make great music, but like we also work with awesome people who have busted their asses for us.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything I've learned with what I've seen with Liquid IV in the last 18 months is like, if you really want to succeed and crush it to the best of your ability in whatever space you operate within, the team is what you need. You need people that are like-minded, that are good people, that you would grab a beer with and hang out with after, if no business was happening, because ultimately it's like what money and success, all that doesn't really matter if you're not enjoying the ride with the people that you have around you. So if that's like a key thing that you're looking for, I think that's fantastic, because that's ultimately going to be one of the most important decisions you can make.
Have fun for sure. I know plenty of people with money who are not having fun.
Yeah.
Amazingly enough. It doesn't cure everything.
Unbelievable. Yeah. What's one lesson that you learned growing up in Yonkers that you still carry with you today?
Man, you gotta be tough. I mean, it's funny growing up now because I see how the kids are, and like shit was just different. Maybe it was toxic masculinity, but like shit was tough. Where I grew up, it was tough, and not like, yo, you gotta fight every time you leave the house, but like, there was certain pressure on you always. Like weak shit, you know what I mean? Like you had to fight for it, not physically, but like it was tough. Growing up, I had very young parents, and I was raised by my grandparents, my parents. It was like a community, like, it took a village, My parents are very young. They had me at 19, 20.
Wow.
And, it just, where I'm from, we had so much fun. And I take with me, like, those fun times, those memories. I'm still friends with the same kids I grew up with to this day. Like, I'm going to Austin with him on a bachelor party. I'm about to be the best man at my friend Andrew's wedding. We've known each other since he's 8 years old. He's my oldest son's godfather. But like, bro, like we would fucking snap on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we would abuse each other. You know what I'm saying?
It's a different world, man.
It's like we were hard on each other, bro, and still are.
Yeah.
Like, if you came with some weak shit, you were gonna get fucking served up, you know?
Yeah.
And like, like, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but like, it makes you tough. Like, it makes you, it makes you like, it made me learn how to like walk into any room and not be afraid. It did, because it was like, I done seen some shit and felt some shit and been told some shit already. Like, I'm not like, so like, even like when I started rapping in the city and like going to Brooklyn and like hitting these open mics where it was like, who the hell is that dude? Like, I just was like, there's nothing you could say to me that's going to hurt my feelings.
Thick skin and confidence right there.
For real. And, look, I think we all have emotions and we all are sensitive people. So I don't mean it like that. It's totally, absolutely great to feel different things. But there's a certain toughness that came with it that I can't really put my finger on. But I needed it to survive in this game.
Yeah. Anybody from New York, I know you're coming out here. Anytime I meet a New Yorker out here, I'm like, I know exactly what I'm signing up for. This person is fucking tough as nails. They don't give a shit. I'll meet somebody, they don't even tell me from New York, and I go, hold on a second. You're from New York, aren't you? And they're like, 100%.
And they got a group of friends that don't, ain't nobody in New York calling me Outasight, bro. You know what I mean? They call me by my last name. They call me names I'm not going to say in the podcast.
Beep, 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 beep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's real. Like, I need that. It keeps you grounded. Like, when I first moved out to LA, I went back to New York a bunch of times. And like, bro, even when my song was on the radio, I would go to the local bar and it would just be like, what up, dog? Like,
keeping you real grounded.
No Outasight. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm a motherfucking construction worker, a teacher, electrician. Like, fuck you. Yeah. And like, we just kick it, watch a game, talk shit. And it's like, I'm just the same dude.
It's kind of refreshing. I honestly get that feeling every time I go home back to Western Mass, where it's like, there's no like, I'm not any, and I don't think I'm any better than anybody else. I think I took a big leap leaving. Like, there's a lot of kids that I grew up with that have never left Western Mass and they're still there.
100%.
But it is so refreshing when I go back and I'm like, oh, this is people. This is it. This is what it's about. Like, going to the same old bars.
And we ain't moving back ever.
No.
But you ask what we learned from it. I think you learned something from it,
Yeah, that's great.
A lot of love to my homies in Yonkers.
That's great. Selfish question. If you were sitting across from the 27 years young version of yourself, what advice would you give him?
Oh, wow. Fuck. All right, 27. So that's 11 years ago. So let's think. It's 2021. So it's 2010.
This is a year before Tonight Is the Night rolls out, right?
A year before Tonight Is the Night comes out. So I would tell myself, stay patient, stay focused. You're doing the right thing. And when it's time to go, be ready. And then I would say, start visioning where you wanted to go, and don't waver. Because if there's one lesson I did learn, and I don't have any regrets at all, I actually think I'm where I'm supposed to be, 100%. I feel that way. But if I can look back, and what I would tell them, like, after Tonight Is the Night, there was so much creative pressure on me, and I don't think I was assertive enough in where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do and where I wanted to take it. And maybe I was just overwhelmed by the moment. I can't go back and change time. So, who knows where the chips would have fell? And like I said, I think the universe put me exactly where I'm supposed to be. But just that would be my advice, to just, be ready. Be ready.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's good too to be able to accept like where you are is where you're always meant to be, and I feel like that just gives you so much gratitude for everything that has that's allowed you to get to this position, because there's always gonna be more money to be made, more cars to be bought, more houses to be had, more things that we want. So it's like, you're never truly ever gonna be happy if you keep wanting more. But if you can wake up and honestly say, you know what, I'm pretty happy with where I am today. 100%. And yeah, I might have more fuel in the tank. I might be working on this business. I might have other successes coming, but I'm pretty good with where I'm at versus where I might have been a couple of years. I feel like that's just changes the perspective and allows you to really be in a sweet spot and just and with the flow of life almost.
Yeah, maybe I would have told my 27-year-old self too, like, it's gonna be all good. Because like there was definitely a lot of moments where I was like, ah, shit, I failed. Like even with the hit, afterwards being like, I failed.
Yeah.
And I like kind of succeeded. Like I did it, but I fucked up. I could have done it for real. And then like I had to let that go. And it took a while. And it took some like therapy almost, you know, to like just kind of like not be so damn fucking hard on myself. Like, dude, like you accomplished something. Like be proud of yourself. Because like outwardly be like, oh, I'm so happy. But like at the crib, I'd be like pissed and upset. And like
now you want the next one. You want the next hit. You want the next tour.
And you know, it's like, I fumbled my opportunity. You know what I mean? That's how it felt for a while. So I almost felt like I had a second chance and took advantage of it. Now I don't take it for granted at all. I just stay hustling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a motherfucking hustler now.
Oh, you definitely are.
All the time.
All day, baby.
So, yeah.
What's a question in your life you're trying to answer right now? And it can't be about the Knicks.
No, you know, question that I need answered?
Or you're trying to answer. Is there anything on top of mind you're trying to figure out in your life right now?
Man, how to get back into like peak physical condition.
Let's go, baby.
I've slipped.
Put that
COVID,
alarm tomorrow, 6 a.m. You better get up and send me a picture of you in the gym.
Man, you know, healthy body, healthy mind.
Amen.
And, you know, through the pandemic, I definitely stopped playing basketball a bunch, obviously, because I couldn't play basketball. So I gained a few pounds, man, and now as you get older, it's harder to lose, and it's like it's not for the camera or anything. I don't give a fuck. It's for myself, and just to feel better. So I've been working on that. I've been way more active as now too. The world opens up. I get to play basketball again. I have a dog. I've been walking him. So that's really been my thing recently. It's just like, because like when I am active, my mind is active in a better way.
Yeah.
So so that's been crucial because I was really creative for a while during COVID, and then I hit a block like where I was just like, I don't know what the fuck to talk about or sing about. Like I was like jammed. So I started moving again, getting after it. And I was like, it's like the faucet opened again.
Yeah.
So, you know, like tomorrow morning I'm playing basketball, you know, just getting back to doing those things has been really, really nice. And it just, I don't know about you, man, but like just to be able to do stuff again, dude.
Oh, no questions.
Oh man.
Yeah,
it was hard, dude.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I'm very fortunate that we live this close to the beach because like I was kind of saying before, like the beach became a public area where like, if you wanted to be out with people and within somewhat of a safe thing, people just went to the beach. It was public. There's a lot of space. And if you were on the beach, you were signed up to be around a lot of people. So it was kind of like, don't go to the beach if you don't want to be around a lot of people. So I feel fortunate that we had this outlet where it's like we were able to be social and active and like be with people during the weekends. You know, maybe didn't look so good outside looking in because there's a pandemic and I'm out young and I'm
but
around
outdoor on the beach is very safe.
Totally. So there was a lot of space. So at least we've had that, but ultimately, yes. Do I want like having things open back up recently, being able to go to the restaurants and bars, and it feels great. And it's like, it's so really exciting. Nice. It's so exciting to see people like back and living in LA. And I think it's gonna be a really good summer. And
me too, man. That energy is crucial to me. Cause like, I'm not like a go out and partier, but I like to do stuff.
Totally.
You know? So it's just like, woo, what, you know, it's like, it was hard, and it's hard for everybody. I mean, my first world problems don't even, you know, they're not important, but you know, just for me as on a personal side. But are you walking distance to the beach?
1 mile.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah, 1.25 miles straight.
Every
down
time
Washington.
I'm at the beach, I'm like, why don't I live near the beach?
Yeah,
it's one of those things.
You know, it costs you an arm and a leg, but I think just from all the relationships I've been building and like access of so many of these opportunities now that just because I live in this part of town, it's like, no questions asked. Take my money because I know this is just literally an investment. I'm not here just like sitting in my ass and not leaning into this incredible opportunity of being around these incredible individuals. So I have for sure leaned into it, and it was the greatest decision I ever made moving here because I was comfortable. I was great. Me, Dylan, Steve, we never once had a problem living with each other for 3 years. I mean, literally the easiest going, roommate situation of all time. So I had to step outside of my comfort zone to say, you know what, fellas, love you, love living with you, but this is the next chapter. I need to put myself in a position to succeed even more. I'm a relationship person. Put me in the room with the right people. I will navigate it. Yeah. And I had to, get myself in an uncomfortable position to then ultimately put me into a better position. And
for sure,
there has not been an ounce of regret. And it's been, without a doubt, the greatest decision that I made. You got to
just take that leap.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't ever want to be like, oh, I wish I had done that.
Exactly. That's the way. It's so much easier living
out here for the East Coast. And like you said, man, we got plenty of homies who are stayed right. Were born somewhere, and they'll probably
stay. That's where they're going to be for the rest of
their
lives.
It's not. That doesn't make us any better than anybody.
Totally.
But our hearts said we need to go do this, and we did it. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure we each have a friend who's like, I wish I'd have done that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of homies who are like, I'm good. We good. I love it. I'm here. Cool. Great. But you don't want to be the one guy who's there. Who's like, damn, I wish I would have. You know what I mean? Fuck that.
Nah,
life is too short for that.
Life is too short. I just keep shooting shots and anything that is of interest, and I can live knowing if I airball the shit out of it because I'm like, you know what? I put it up the shot. Most people are just gonna keep bouncing and not even make that move. I'm like, left, shoot,
just put in the work. I tell my son RJ, he's 10, turning 11 soon. He's a really good baseball player, and I just tell him, when it's me and him out in the field, just swinging and he gets upset about missing or something, and I'll be like, dude, you're just putting in the work right now. And I'm like, LeBron right now is in the gym shooting jumpers, bro. This dude got rings. He's one of the GOATs. He's still in the gym shooting. He does not need to do that. But he's there. That's, you put in the work. The things that people don't see. LeBron is dead ass in the gym right now.
Totally.
He's the best basketball player in the world, still shooting. He doesn't need to do that. That's what it's about. Put in the work.
Be relentless.
So put up the shots. Put in the work.
There's always more room to grow.
Yes, sir.
I love that. Quick cues, and then we'll kind of wrap up. Are there any specific daily routines that help you operate at your highest level? I know you're talking about getting back into basketball.
Playing basketball, for sure.
100. No questions asked.
100%. It's my favorite thing to do in the world.
I love that. I'm pushing 100%. You. I'm challenging you. Get this daily sweat in now that things are back.
I've been doing it. I'm gonna stay after it. If I don't, it upsets me.
All right. I love that. If you could gift one lesson to the world, what would it be?
Gift one lesson to the world. That's great. Shit. This is supposed to be a quick answer, huh? Gift one lesson to the world. Oh man. You know what? Love unconditionally and forgive. Don't let the anger or hate or anything subside. Over the last year, I've had to do a lot of forgiving, and it's made me lighter.
Let that shit go, baby.
Let it go. Yeah. It just is what it is.
Yeah, that's great.
It's helped me a lot.
That's great. What's an area of your life you need to put more effort into?
My physical condition, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Keep working on it then. What's the first step anyone can take to reaching their inner potential?
Start. Just go. You're gonna, dude. You can't be. No one's born good at anything. Like, you might be like born with like an innate talent. But you must get better. Like, my first songs recorded were so fucking bad. It took me fucking 3 years to make a song that I left the studio like, oh, this is decent. Just get to work.
Yeah.
So, and I probably said this on the last pod we did, but if your inner potential is knowing where you want to go and then just starting that journey, go one step at a time. You gotta go. Yeah. And then, like we said, you're gonna have twists and turns, and it might change, but you gotta start.
Yeah, I love that. Starting in of itself is the hardest thing to do, but once you do get the momentum going, it then becomes a habit, a routine, and then it's unquestionable that it's just the thing that you keep working on, and that no matter how the results play out, no matter what people have to say about it, you just keep doing it. And then at some point, as long as you stay consistent, as long as you stay consistent enough, disciplined, and you actually put in the work over a long period of time, I truthfully believe every person's going to find a way to do the thing they really want to do, whether it's the highest level or some mediocre, medium level, you're going to find a way to actually do it.
Especially if you love it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not.
No, there's no question. There's no
it's
other
not
option.
work. Like, you know what I mean? It's hard. You're not always going to be happy. It's not going to always be fun, but like, you love it. You know, you come back the next day, like, let's do it again.
Yeah. I'm excited to get back into the work.
Figure it out.
Yeah. I love that. As we wrap up this podcast, I always allow the guests to put a challenge out there to the listener. If they've listened to the last 75 minutes of this podcast, what is one challenge you have for the listener today?
I just challenge people, I guess, maybe, I feel like this pod is probably one of the first times I've publicly told, my kind of story where I like about bouncing back. Really, I never really talk about it because I'm not necessarily a very public person, but I would challenge people to just to keep fighting, stay resilient. Resiliency is huge. You know what I mean? Challenge yourself. You know what I mean? And don't be so hard on yourself. You know what I mean? Like, challenge yourself and give yourself credit when credit is due. And just keep going, and know that no matter where you are, it can change in an instant. Just keep going, challenge yourself. I mean, I don't know if that's the best answer. It's a great question, but I hope that sheds a little bit of light.
Yeah, that's great. That's why I got Keep Going Ted on my left hand, man.
Seeing
man. That shit every single day.
That's all you can do, man.
Yeah, as a reminder. Rich, as we wrap up this podcast, man, absolute pleasure. Dude, this
was fun. I love talking about myself. I don't do it nearly enough.
We got to. Why don't
Let's just make it weekly. We'll just talk about me.
I'm gonna make a new. So I drop podcasts every Monday and Thursday. You just pick another day of the week, and it'll just be the Rich podcast.
Hump day with Outasight.
Yeah, with Outasight, 60 minutes. What's rolling on his
mind
today?
I got a lot to talk about. Take a seat. Yeah, exactly.
No, seriously, you're the man, and I genuinely really appreciate you, and just truthfully, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, like. I know Dylan really appreciates the relationship he has with you, because even when I was living with him, he would speak nothing of great things about you. And then obviously I would see you in passing, or, anytime we'd all come together, it's been nothing but good vibes. But really, like I said, in the beginning of when we first got here, you have without a doubt you took us under your wing a little bit, would offer us some advice. I remember I actually watched the Bounce music video today when we shot that back in 2018 with Hunter. And I remember even then driving over to shoot that music video, like how excited I was, because I was like, we were just at a little over a year in LA, and I was like, wow, I'm about to be on set with Rich for a music video. And like I walk in, this whole set and design, and I was like, it was like so motivating, inspiring me. Like, this is the shit why I moved to LA, So
well, I always love to connect the dots, bro.
Totally.
I love being a plug. It brings me joy to help others.
Totally.
And that's why doing the label has been a lot of fun, because it's like seeing now the artists that are signed to us have opportunities and do shit. Like, that feels like I'm winning too.
Yeah. That's beautiful. What I mean? When you get to that place of being of service almost, I feel like it just the energy just comes right back around.
Hell yeah.
By the time this podcast comes out, your album will be out. I will have that linked up in the description below. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go and listen. I don't know the name of the album yet. We're going to wait until it actually rolls out. But you'll know. It'll be in bold. It'll be underneath the description. So please go check that out. If you enjoyed this episode, me and Rich have a favor to ask from you. Really just me asking the favor. Screenshot this episode on whatever platform you're listening to. Post it to your IG story. Tag Rich. He's at Outasight. That's Outasight.
On Instagram, I'm Hey Outasight.
Oh, it is Hey Outasight.
Yeah.
Ooh, didn't do my research enough. Dan.
Nah, you're good.
You bad bearded man. Hey Outasight.
Yes,
Heyoutasigt. I'll have this linked up below as well, because I can't clearly spell. Tag him, tag me at Bobe, B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's and Y. Share out the podcast on your IG story and let us know what the biggest takeaway, what the biggest learning was. Very excited to see what you guys and gals think. And I will also have 83 Sound linked up in the description below if you want to check out what he has going on outside of his own music. Rich, thank you,
Bobby,
for taking the time,
thank you so much for having me, man.
Absolute
You're a great
pleasure.
host. You were great.
Thank you. I appreciate it, bro. We're just getting started, man.
Is
Couple hundred eps under the belt. Still got a lot more to come.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Bearded Man Podcast. See ya.